Hey there, Suzi here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to share this special message with you. Now, my co-host Michelle and I love masterminds. Not only do we belong to masterminds, but we also host a mastermind. We started it almost 8 years ago, and it is the premier mastermind for women business owners who want to grow their business with a specific focus on marketing. Now, this group is usually completely booked out, and very occasionally we open the doors and invite a handful of women in. So if you're growing your business, but you're struggling with feeling overwhelmed, or like you constantly have a split focus when it comes to your marketing, this could be exactly what you're looking for. We have an amazing time together, and the women in the group are extraordinary. They're great cheerleaders, supporters, advisors, and colleagues for you. And they're also seeing extraordinary results. We see people cracking the $1 million, $2 million, $3 million mark, launching new e-commerce sites that go from $0 to $10,000 a month in sales. They're doubling their conversion rates, they're growing memberships, they're selling courses, they're growing their personal brands, and they're getting all kinds of media exposure and speaking opportunities and so much more. You can learn more about the mastermind and join the wait list over at herbusinessmastermind.com. We're going to open the doors soon, so you definitely want to be on the list to get an invitation. So head on over to herbusinessmastermind.com. You're listening to the Content Sells Podcast, the show all about how to create content to attract, convert, and keep your ideal clients. Welcome to episode 198. I'm Suzi Dafnis, and here with me is my co-host, Michelle Falzon. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hey, Suzi. I'm great. I mean, we've just been in each other's pockets for the last few weeks, and we are both just back from the amazing Reach Retreat in Hawaii. As we record this episode, we've just got home. And Suzi, what an incredible time that was.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was amazing. We haven't been able to do that for 3 years. And now if you're not familiar with the Reach Retreat, the Her Business Reach Retreat is a 5-day program that we run in Hawaii each year. But of course, we had to have a little hiatus over the last couple of years. And it's all about giving you the time and space to step away from your business and reset and reimagine what's next so that you can keep creating a business and a life that you love, culminating in what we call a reach map, which is unlike any other business plan you've ever seen. And it was so much fun, so many breakthroughs. It's almost impossible to explain how amazing it is. It's one of those experiences where you can feel a little like, I don't know how to put this in words. It was so good. And so we're doing it again next year. And if you are interested to know more, we have got some early bird savings on offer right now. So head over to thereachretreat.com to check that out and apply. We've only got a small number of places. The program's definitely going to sell out. And we've already got women from this year, Michelle, as you know, and previous years who are snapping up the spots for the 2023 Reach Retreat. So definitely take a look and apply now if you're curious. So, Michelle, let's turn our minds to what we're actually talking about today.
I know it's hard. I'm trying to turn my mind back from Reach to other things. It's almost impossible. But today we're digging back into a topic that's super important and that we haven't actually touched on in a while, and that is case studies, and specifically how to use those case studies to tell your customer stories, and in all the various places and ways that you can do that. And you want to use your customer stories as much as you possibly can, because they're the things that are going to provide that really strong social proof to others that you're a good operator, someone who gets results, and that they can trust you to help them get those same results too.
Right. And social proof is a fundamental principle that has us, when we see something out there, someone like us doing something, then it makes it more okay for us to do that too. That's not the best description. If you want the best description of it, check out Influence by Dr. Cialdini. He kind of coined this term social proof. But it's one of the most powerful levers that you can pull when you're helping someone feel ready to buy from you. They might have all the facts and know all the features and benefits of your product and service, but it's almost always the customer stories that you tell that help people make that final leap into saying yes.
Right. And Suzi, as I mentioned, we haven't touched on this topic on the show for a while. You and I were kind of saying it's about time we did something on case studies. And actually, I wanted to just mention the 2 episodes that are the most relevant, or the sister episodes, if you like, to this show. And The first one was way back in episode 20, how to get awesome client stories, case studies, and testimonials. And we also covered more on case studies in episode 53, which was 5 ideas for adding compelling social proof to your content and why you need it.
It was a few episodes ago, right? We're at 198 at the moment, but those are 2 episodes that I know I'm always referring people back to. So they are, as you said, a great companion. And in episode 20, we encourage you to listen to as a companion for today's show. We covered 2 crucial elements when using case studies to tell customer stories. One of those is how to capture your client information easily and systematically so that you have all the makings of great testimonials, case studies, and customer stories at your fingertips, right, when you need them. So you're not scurrying around to think, oh, I need a story. And the second thing we cover in episode 20 is how to format that information into compelling content that edifies your existing clients and attracts more of your ideal clients to you.
I second that about, really going back and listening to episode 20. It does look at the ways to build into your systems how to collect your customer stories, into those regular processes that you're doing. It also covers the perfect time to ask a customer to share their story. And there is a perfect time to ask, although there are multiple places in the process you can ask. We also look at 7 ways to get customer stories after the sale, and also how to find those stories in other ways in your business. So you're always capturing the gold that is your customer's experience and their personal story. Because the key with all our marketing and communication is that people need to see themselves in the content and the stories you share. And, Suzi was just referring then about social proof is people seeing people like them doing the sorts of things that they want to do and knowing that it's safe to do that. It's kind of like when you drive down a street and you see a restaurant and it's got nobody in it. You think, I'm not sure about the food in there. There's not very strong social proof. But you drive around the corner and there's a restaurant with a queue out the door. And you go, right, well, all those people are telling me that this is a really good thing to do. I'm going to join the line, join the herd, because it seems like this is a safe thing to do, and go to that restaurant versus the empty restaurant down the road. And the more that somebody can see themselves, their particular situation, their age, their circumstances, the things they're worried about, that kind of thing, in the stories that you share, the more likely they are to pay attention to you. This is one of the most effective ways to break the trance that people are in. And, we're all kind of in a trance. We're all caught up in our own lives, our own problems, our own needs, our own desires. So the way into entering the thoughts of your customer, entering the awareness of your customer, is to show them people like them getting the outcomes that they really want. So we talked to you in episode 20 how to kind of get those stories, but also we give you the how in terms of how to format those case studies and testimonials, including a simple 4-question client interview, and also what to do if you're in a profession that limits the use of case studies and testimonials. And there is a free download that we shared with that episode, which we're also going to include in today's show notes, which is the questions to ask for terrific testimonials. So we'll share with you a little later how you can get those goodies.
I love all that. What juiciness in an episode. So good.
Back over old episode. Yeah. Great.
So given we've got all that in episode 20 for you, rather than reinvent the wheel here today, we thought that what could be really useful is to share 5 ways that you can use those case studies to get maximum reach and impact with those stories. That is in the various formats your case studies can take so that more people see them, love them, and that they're motivated by them to move forward with you and doing business with you. And we're covering things from videos to short social posts to reels and a whole lot more. So we're going to start with one of my favorites, and that is videos. So I love video as a format for collecting client case studies because it's visual and it's also audio, and it has clear, strong social proof. You can see the person. You can identify them. You can feel the emotion. You can hear their words coming right out of their own mouth. It's really easy to consume that sort of content. We have done all kinds of video case studies. They can be long form and really highly produced. And we've done these with some of our best customers where we actually hired a crew and we really planned those out. We did some pre-interviews with those people. We actually went around the country, visited them in their homes or their offices and told their story and their backstory really comprehensively. And for example, we did this featuring some of our Marketing Success Mastermind members. The Mastermind is a program that Michelle and I have run now for 7 years. Then we used those videos, those case studies as part of our promotion for Mastermind, and we still do. It was wonderful. It was also very expensive and time-consuming, as you can imagine. And this sort of case study has a place, but it's not essential. This is something to do once your product has started to gain some traction. You can justify the expenditure because you have sort of a predictability about how you can raise the revenue to recoup what you've just spent. And you've got some case studies that are really, really meaty. So this is when you're ready to take things to the next level with your case studies. And I'm going to include links to some of the examples of our longer format case studies. One, because we love to share our masterminder stories, but also it's a really good example for you to see that high level production. So that's number one. That is the more long form, highly produced interview. But you can also use video to do quick interviews in and around live events. So we just did this at the Reach Retreat in Hawaii. So we asked some of the women, we handpicked some of the women and asked if they would give us 10 to 20 minutes, either before the program started or during lunch, to share their story. Now, doing these interviews at your events is a great way to get people in situ. So Hawaii is obviously beautiful. There were beautiful gardens at this venue. The ocean was there. We were having cocktails. There were sunsets. But you don't need to have that tropical environment, but it's just about having people in an environment where they can tell their story. So it could be that they come to your office, or that you are holding a live conference, or you're doing it in a hotel room. It's just great for those people who didn't come to that event to get a feeling and perhaps even a little bit of FOMO of what it was like to be there. And as I said, we just did that at the Reach Retreat, but it's something we also did after one of our very special mastermind events just a few months ago, where we took the mastermind to Noosa in Australia. And so there was lots of opportunities to showcase what we were doing. So this works best when you have someone who can operate the camera, like both those examples I gave you, and another person asking the question. So it can be done with one person doing both, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're going to get a better result if someone is asking the questions and someone else is holding the iPhone or the camera, whatever your setup is going to be. It's just going to be smoother for you.
Yeah, and this year at Reach, actually we made that decision to capture these videos using iPhones. So even though you might want one person on the camera, one person asking the question, you don't even have to have like a professional camera crew or the full gear. You can, the quality of the iPhone or any kind of mobile phone right now, the cameras on those are amazing. There's some fantastic gadgets you can get now, like tripods and ways to hold them and light them that are really affordable and easy. And so we kind of made the decision, hey, this is going to be great quality. It's easy to produce. It's fast to get access to after, rather than kind of waiting for things to get digitized and high-res files. And we could get access to that video content really quickly, which is also another thing you want to be thinking about. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, and we'll put some examples of the videos that we just took on iPhones in show notes for you, just so you can see what can be done with very little technical ability or, expensive equipment.
Yeah. And, if it was just you, don't think, oh, well, I don't have two people, I can't grab this story, right? You want to be as opportunistic as you can. And we have done things in the past too, where we've just had the iPhone on a tripod and kind of set it up in a fixed position, and then just one person asking the questions. So just make it work for you. The ideal scenario, though, is if you've got a couple of team members or a family member who can help you, it's really good to have a couple of people. And Suzi, another great video format, just while we're still talking about video now as one of the ways to share your case studies, one video format that we've really been getting into and finding some traction with when it comes to telling our customer stories is creating these quick, opportunistic reels or stories using video shot in the portrait format. Now, many of you will know what that means, but basically that's when you hold your phone, with the narrow part at the top and the long part to the side. So instead of a horizontal landscape video, which is often how many videos are filmed, you turn your phone sideways. So you're getting a vertical video that you can then use that content to post to, say, Instagram as a reel or Facebook as a story. It's also the ideal format for TikTok. Now, we've been really exploring this avenue. Suzi mentioned our mastermind in Noosa, and then the Reach retreat that we've just had. And we've really been doubling down on Reels as a way to tell our customer stories. And it is absolutely getting traction because it is so immediate. You can just take a quick reel, take a quick video in that vertical format, post it to Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok almost instantly. And so what we were able to do is create a lot of FOMO and a lot of buzz during the event when you have the most traction for all those people that were at home that weren't there, and creating that desire to be there is really part of what we're looking to do when we share our customer stories and our case studies. Now, the other reason why this is a really good content sort of format to look at is that many of the platforms like Facebook and Instagram are giving this kind of content the highest priority right now, because TikTok is the rising star of what's happening on social media right now. And Facebook and Instagram are scrambling to keep up. So when you are sharing that sort of content on Facebook and Instagram as well, they are prioritizing your content. The algorithm is sharing it more with more people. So it's a great way to get a lot more views of your content, and it is super, super fun. We've been having a lot of fun with it. People, at cocktail parties giving cheers, and people having fun at dinners, and, pans of the room, and really giving people a sense of what it's like to be there. And we've been keeping them short with some punchy music, and it has really been getting some traction for us. So do consider that if you're not already using that as a video format way to tell your customer stories.
And I can't tell you how many people have approached me without invitation to say how much they've loved getting that window into those events, and how much FOMO they were feeling, or how excited they are to get involved the next time we do it. And so while it's not a case study by the way of a talking head, or an interview, it's still telling the story. It's telling the story of how much fun they had, or what they were learning, or the fact that they were creating their beautiful reach maps, or the fact that they were creating content together, right? So you're still telling customer stories and giving people a window into what it was like to be there with you. So there you have a few ideas for using video to tell your customer stories. And we actually just released a fantastic episode with the beautiful Skye Anderton of Ruby Olive, who shares how she uses video storytelling to grow her e-commerce business. Now, that's the episode just before this one. It's episode 197. So we'll put a link to that also in today's show notes, which I'll tell you a little later where you can find those.
Suzi, video is also great as the source content for other ways to share our case studies and to tell our customer stories. And this is another reason why I love video, because something that we've been doing quite a bit of lately is repurposing that video content. Firstly, taking screenshots of just different frames in the video and using those screenshots either as a still image that we use to share on social media and in emails, etc., or just putting those together in a series of still shots in the Reels and story format, and also using them as GIFs. So this is also great to add to your emails, because you can add a GIF to an email. So we did a great one, for example, of Suzi at the Reach retreat. She was just welcoming people to the cocktail party, and we just took a few stills from that and had her kind of like waving in kind of this cool kind of motion. And that then gave us a lot more flexibility to add that content to other places. So while that's not strictly telling the case study, it is part of the overall story of Reach and how you can use those case study videos and get more mileage out of them. You can also create shorter snippets. So if you do make a longer video, like the examples we're going to share in the show notes, of those longer, more produced videos, or even the shorter, even the iPhone videos that we kind of did kind of on the fly, you can cut those into little snippets as well. So it's a way to get more traction. You don't just post this content once. You're looking to see, how can I post it many times? Because the big mistake I see people making is they go to all this trouble to make these videos and they're posting them once and then not using them again.
Yes. And those videos and the repurposed content, using that over and over, is one of the one of the benefits. It's not ephemeral. Like, it doesn't have to just disappear because a story disappears in a day or whatever Instagram does. That is valuable content that you can slice and dice many, many ways. So the interviews we did for the mastermind, we've turned them into multiple shorter videos, into posts, into social posts. We've taken the audio and transcribed it and added that to emails. Like, there is so much mileage that you can get out of one 20-minute interview. The other thing that I wanted to say, now it's sort of gone out of my head, is if you're thinking, oh, that's all great, Michelle's saying just edit it down and I don't know how to do any of that because I'm not very technical. That's okay. I'm here to tell you there are a lot of people who know how to do that, right? So get the concept, get the idea that you want to create this video content, and then you can find the resources. One of the things that I'm very big about in her business is that you keep your CEO hat on. And sometimes we have to dive in and create the content. Like, if you're the face of the content, like, I have to be in all those videos because I'm part of the content, but I don't have to do the slicing and dicing and doing all that, right? You're going to put your CEO hat on, and the outcome is to get the case studies in video format and be able to repurpose them, right? So I want you to leave that question behind.
Absolutely. And inside the Her Business Network is the perfect place to find all those amazing people. Suzi, you were just showing me somebody the other day that shared a fantastic tutorial inside the network about how to do some of these things. So the people you need to do this are all around you. It is first having the idea and the vision for what you want to achieve, and then asking, well, who can help me with this? A great episode, just while we're talking about repurposing our content, a great episode I want to tune your attention to, if you haven't checked it out yet, is episode 170 with the amazing Ruth Basinski. And it's about repurposing your content, making more with less. And she modeled for us in that interview how she's using the same source content over and over and in different, perhaps smaller formats and smaller products, and making millions of dollars in the process. So she takes one video-based product that she creates, and then she slices and dices it into multiple ways. Now, we can borrow that idea and apply it to our case study content. You make one 20-minute video, and then you slice and dice it in multiple ways so that you can keep getting that leverage and keep getting that mileage. You don't need a ton of material. I'm just going to say that one more time. You don't need a ton of material. Just find ways to keep repurposing it.
I love that. So that is our first way. The second way that you can use case studies to get that maximum reach and that impact is social posts. I love telling customer stories and case studies using social posts. Now, it can be video repurposed, like we've just been discussing with the videos that we made for Mastermind or that we made at Reach, where you take one video and you turn it into several shorter videos, sharing over, a long period of time. Or it can be a still image. Like Michelle said, you can take a screenshot, or you may have taken a photo. And things we've done successfully with still images include having a picture of the person and then having a screenshot of something they said or social media. So if you're like us, then your clients are probably saying amazing things inside of a private Facebook group or in customer service emails or somewhere. And you're able to be able to use that text alongside the picture. And ideally, if it is on social media, rather than copying and pasting it, taking a screenshot right there so people can see, oh, that's actually a social media post. It sort of elevates the value of that content. And then build the story around the image and the text, bringing in the backstory, And we do that quite a lot. We'll use a photo and a little caption, but then we'll do the backstory and we'll write that into the social media post copy.
Yeah, I love that. And some of the things that I really like seeing inside the Her Business kind of case studies and stories that you're telling is, you'll have the photo of the person, you'll have a little snippet or a screenshot of something saying, just doubled my results, or, I just did my first webinar and had 10 sales, or whatever it is. Then you got the choice of writing either a long copy post where you really tell a lot of details about that person's story, or a shorter post, and really mixing that up and seeing what works for you, what accompanies that image, is a great way for you to understand, okay, that works. People like it when I ask a question. People like it when I ask them to chime in and congratulate the person, so just test and play with these ideas. And so you can add other elements to the video, to the images, like you might have an arrow pointing to a specific part of their message or something circled, or you might pull something out of the message and really treat it like a headline a visual headline to the image. So, how Chantel doubled her business in less than 12 months. And the other thing, again, I know I'm going to be a bit of a broken record on this in this episode, but just reuse that same post every few months or every few weeks or every time you do your launch. Again, don't feel like you can't use a post like this more than once, or that you can't use that same person over and over, especially if you're giving it a different look and feel. You may be using their still image just fully in the post one time, another time using the screenshot, maybe then you're using a combo, long copy, short copy. You see how we're still using the same source material, but we've created multiple posts.
And that's why, the videos that we filmed 5-6 years ago, we are still making use of because you're showing them to a different audience. And if anybody notices, you might put a post out and it only reaches so many people, or you might put an email out and only, 20% of people open the email, and people will not get bored of a good story. And so you definitely want to use that. I mean, I know that I have enough stories to be in this business for another 150 years
yes.
and never run out of stories. And so know that you can, as Michelle said, post it more than once, use that same person, that favorite story over and over in different contexts, from different angles. So make the most of it. So that's our second way. Is social posts. The third way you can use case studies for maximum reach and impact is sales pages. So anytime you have a sales page or a page on your website that is dedicated to you making an offer, make sure that you are using your case studies on those pages. I always like to say, don't tell people to go through the front door, down the hall, and third door on the left to see your case studies. And what I mean by that is sometimes I find that people, especially on their website, they have a post that says case studies, testimonials. The thing is, you want to use your case studies in all the relevant places. So if you have a product business and you have a story about that product, you want that case study right there. If you have a sales page, you want it littered in the best way possible with case studies. Sometimes they'll be videos, sometimes they'll be in all these different formats we talked about, but you want to make sure that your sales pages definitely check the box when it comes to showing social proof. And how are you going to show that proof? It is through your case studies.
Now, again, this can be the videos or the stills that you've already captured that you've been using on social. You don't have to reproduce those either. So the same image that I used on social, I can be putting on my sales page. And typically, you want social proof on every sales page that you have. If you're selling a low ticket item, you're selling a high ticket item. Of course, the higher the price, potentially the more risk somebody is feeling, the more nervous they're feeling about making that purchase, the more proof you need. So don't be shy about having multiple pieces of social proof, case studies, client stories, photos of your clients, all through your sales page. You might have 3 or 4 sections on your sales page. As people are scrolling down, they read some stories, they scroll a bit more and they see a bit more information about what's included and the price, and they see a few more stories. So do have this sort of preponderance of proof, have this massive amount of proof in your sales pages. And the other place too is right on that order form. So if they're clicking through from your sales page to buy from you, where they're actually putting in their credit card details and those sorts of things, have social proof there as well. And again, it's these extractions from your bigger case studies and the bigger stories that you're telling. And so it's such great advice. Do not ask them to, find the weird navigation link that you've got buried in some sub navigation somewhere where you've grouped all your case studies on page 7,500 of your website. Get them into the sales pages, but also get them onto the front pages of your main homepage of your website as well.
I love that. So that is sales pages. That is our third way. The fourth way is marketing and nurture emails. So think about all the customer stories and case studies that you can use in your emails. I love doing this. People love stories. And when you can tell stories about real people getting real results with your product or service, you have a winning combination. So for example, for Mastermind, when we open the doors for applications to join the Mastermind, which we only do a couple of times a year, telling the story of the lovely Kat Matson, who doubled her sales goals of her brand new membership program, which helps people speak with confidence and impact, or Angela Council, who is a menopause coach, who tripled her results, and she went from struggling to fill her high-ticket menopause program to being completely sold out in a fraction of the time. Or Chantel, who we mentioned earlier, who has more than quadrupled her business revenue from when she started in Mastermind. Or Ange, who scored a 500% increase in her corporate training fees, which are all about health and digestion. and she launched her first ever high ticket offer and started making $3,500 sales. Or Karen, who fulfilled a lifelong dream to take 3 months off in Europe with her husband and still have her bustling web design business running without her. Or Katie, who completely sold out her first ever high ticket program where she mentors artists. Telling these stories has a massive impact because people can see that taking the action to join the mastermind or whatever it is that you want people to do does get results, right? And it can help people feel safer to click the button and apply because they've just seen people just like them. Remember, and you're going to show a range of people, all of whom are your ideal clients, and tell their stories. So they're seeing people just like them who took the same action and are succeeding. So powerful.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather tell a customer story or a case study than just about anything else. And just hearing those stories, I mean, I know those stories, Suzi, but as you just shared them, I was like wanting to lean in. I was wanting to hear more, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, it can be great for other types of email as well. So you've got your sales kind of emails, the emails that you might do as you're sending a campaign, you're asking people to step through and to buy something from you. But tell these stories and use these case studies in your onboarding after somebody has purchased from you, because you're reselling your program to people or your product to people even after they've bought it. So how do they use the product? We'll tell the case study of so-and-so who used the product for this kind of use, or who had this problem and they were able to solve it with the product by doing this. You can use it in the nurture emails that you're sending to people who've perhaps joined your list and haven't yet bought from you, and you're just wanting to stay in touch with them. Oh my gosh, customer case studies are some of the most fabulous pieces of content that you can share because they add a huge amount of value. They interest people. Everybody loves hearing a story, like Suzi said, and they keep people in touch with you. So it helps you feel that kind of runway in between campaigns as you start to pave the way for the offer that's coming. Share those case studies most relevant to the next thing that you're promoting. So remember, it's a case study, so you want to add value. You want to share some interesting tidbits or some of the steps perhaps that they took. It's not an ad. Show how people use the product, what they did, what mistakes they made, how they broke through, and so on.
I love it. I love it. I just love all these ways so much. We use all of them, and this is just even a great reminder for me. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, I love doing this. And the fifth and final way is one-on-one conversations and webinars, which is kind of two things. But let me explain. I love having customer case studies top of mind. So if I'm in a one-on-one conversation with someone, let's say it's someone who's applied for the Reach Retreat, I can tell them the story of Fiona, who came to Reach a few years back, and she found an entirely new way to run her online community that unleashed her business, and she's had incredible growth. Or I can tell the story of Janine, who came to Reach and was able to completely transform her life and get back to being the artist that she once was, now selling her works all over the world. So telling a relevant story to someone you might do a discovery call or some sort of one-on-one consultation. You can definitely do that. But also webinars, when you're presenting a webinar, telling a relevant story to someone about another customer of yours who is like them can be one of the most powerful ways to help someone move forward and make the decision to say yes to you and yes to themselves.
Yeah, you're so right, because, a webinar is another type of conversation. At least that's how I see it. It's not a one-to-one conversation. Often it's a one-to-few or a one-to-many conversation, but the same thing applies. Have those customer stories, have those case studies top of mind so you can be sharing those. Show use the same visuals, the photo of the person, the screenshot of the post they made in your private Facebook group, the personal email they sent you thanking them for saving their marriage or helping their sick child or helping them grow their business or whatever it is. It is also telling these stories and having these stories top of mind is also a great way to answer objections. So if you're on the webinar and people are saying, yeah, but what about this? And yeah, but what about that? Don't try and just meet those objections head on. Share a customer case study. Tell a customer story of so-and-so who also was worried about the investment. But here's what happened. Within 3 months, she'd made that money back. Within 6 months, she was $100,000 ahead. Or tell the story of so-and-so who didn't think she had enough experience because of this and this, and she took action, and now, this other great thing is happening.
I love that. I love that. So just on that point of objections, maybe you're doing a Q&A at the end of a webinar or at a presentation. Having those stories on tap to tell is such a powerful way to counteract any of those objections. I love it. So there you have 5 ways to use case studies to tell your customer stories. So we have videos, social posts, sales pages. Number 4 was emails and nurture emails. And number 5 is one-on-one conversations and webinars. Of course, there's lots of other ways, like blogs, interviews. It's only limited by your creativity. But once you start thinking through this lens of, could I tell a case study? Could I tell a customer story here? Could I share that here? It will change the way that your marketing works. The big thing is that you repurpose and keep telling those stories so that you make the most of the wonderful things your customers are doing, and you can share those results with as many prospective customers as well so that they can find their way to working with you too. So go ahead and try those out. We'd love to hear how you go. If you implement these, I would love it if you would share that with us. You can always do that over on the Content Sells Facebook page, where you can connect with me and Michelle. So if you just go to Facebook and look for Content Sells Podcast, you will see our smiling faces, and we'd love to hear from you. The other thing we love to do is to share these tips with as many business owners as possible. So if you enjoyed today's episode and you've got some value from it, we would so love it if you would leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. We have over 100 5-star reviews. So thank you if you've already left us a review or a rating. And if you enjoyed today's episode, as I said, we would love it if you would do us that favor. Now, one person who recently called us out on social media to say how much she loved the show is Purna Malik of Content Bistro, who listed Content Sells as one of her top 3 favorite marketing podcasts. And she said, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Here are my top 3 that encourage creative thinking and inspire practical ideas. And there in that top 3 list was Content Sells with Suzi Dafnis and Michelle Falzon. Us. So thank you so much to Purna. I appreciate that so much. Now, we mentioned a bunch of different resources. We mentioned some recent episodes that also covered the topic of customer stories. We're going to link to, we mentioned lots of other things. So we want to give you easy access to these goodies. So anything we've mentioned on the show, we're going to link to in today's show notes. And where you'll find those show notes is over at www.herbusiness.com/customer stories. So that's herbusiness.com/customer stories. Michelle, what have we got coming up in the next episode?
Oh, the next one is something that I know you and I have really been doubling down on for the last couple of years, and we've been sharing with our masterminders with massive results over the last 12 months or so. And it's this idea of building a runway into your marketing, because very often we are thinking that we can just give our marketing just this little tiny 6-week window or 4-week window, and we're very often not building up enough momentum to get the results we want. Now, the runway is the secret to getting that momentum, and we're going to be talking all about it in the next show.
That's coming up in the next episode. We release episodes every 2 weeks, so be sure to subscribe to get access to that episode, and of course to our archives of now 198 episodes of the show. Michelle, anything you want to say before we go?
Like you, I love telling customer stories, sharing the case studies. We gave you a ton of ideas today, but just start by thinking about one customer that you know whose story you could possibly tell, and just make a plan, make a note. What's the very first thing you're going to do right now to put that in motion?
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Content Sells Podcast. Bye for now.